Now there's a case of caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. The buyer was aware. There's two cases, one little one and one big one, where the sale did not fly as a result of having mold. So let me issue this cautionary word to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in a house, you live in an apartment, you have a building, you know, that houses your business, it's not going to cost you anything to have Richard come out and take a look and just see whether or not you have the problem. I know what they're thinking, Richard. They're thinking, if he comes out, he's going to find something. Just like when you bring your car to the mechanic, he's going to find something. Well, tell us that's not so.
I only promise to find something if it's there.
Great answer, thank you. All right. What about your comments on real estate in general, as it fits into the discussion of the day?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things. First and foremost, if you are looking to sell your house at some point in the future, don't put this thing off till then and sell someone else a healthy house and live in it in the condition it's in now. I have several people do that. They tell me, oh, I'm going to sell in the future. You know, I'll take care of it then. Well, why take care of it then?
That's wrong-headed, isn't it?
Well, why fix your problem now for someone else to move into a healthy home?
Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. What does the remediation consist of? How do you do it? Do we have to leave the house, you know, in Florida where I am, when they do something for the termites, they tent your house and you got to get out?
Right.
What generally gets done?
Well, first and foremost, the first part of your remediation is your inspection. We talked a little bit about that. But think about this. I'm going to be looking in many different places. You may not travel very often. I'm going to be looking inside your duct system. I don't think you're fitting in there. I'm going to be looking inside your crawl space.
What are you trying to say, Richard?
Well, you know,
okay,
cameras go places we can't.
Okay.
Okay. So we're going to be looking inside crawl spaces where I don't think you spend your summers usually.
I mean, we live in a world here in the Hudson Valley that's filled, chock-a-block full of crawl spaces. The worst possible thing you can have in your home is a crawl space.
Yeah, absolutely. It's man's worst building invention. You're creating a pocket of air, a space underneath your home, which you are breathing 50% of on the first floor, because hot air rises. And keep in mind, if you have a duct system, it's even higher. So if you have a dirt crawl space underneath your home, it is festering and growing all kinds of contaminants. You have a petri dish underneath your house.
As they would say in the valley, ew.
Ew, and then some.
Oh, and then some.
Ew, and
yeah,
then
that's
some.
an awful thought. When we come back, Richard Wasveri will continue to tell us about mold remediation in particular, and what you can do about this, and amazingly, how few homes need to have the walls torn down and so on and so forth. That's a myth. More straight ahead when we continue.
Beware the mold monster. He can ruin your home, property, and your health. Want to know if the mold monster is living with you? Call Expedient Environmental, and for $99, we'll send one of our expert mold specialists to investigate. If there's mold, Expedient has the tools, knowledge, and experience to stop the damage and get rid of the mold monster. Go to our website for more info or call 845-229-1437 for your mold inspection appointment. This message brought to you by Expedient Environmental, your best defense against the mold monster.
A guest for the half hour, Richard Wasveri. We're in the stretch now, Rich. If you have not seen this entire program, please, please, go to the website. It's written at the bottom of the screen. You can watch this program in its entirety at Richard's website. Or, better yet, call Richard on the telephone and have a free inspection of your home. It doesn't cost you a nickel to find out whether or not you have sick building syndrome. Richard, are there any telltale signs that I should be looking for as a homeowner or business owner that will let me know that maybe I've got the problem?
Yeah, on occasion. On occasion you may catch an odor. You know, that may be mold or that BVOCs again. You may have had a pipe break or think that, you know, there's some kind of leaking or condensation going on. Anything that has to do with moisture.
93% of all respiratory infections are caused by what?
Mold or fungi. It's a Mayo Clinic study. They actually performed, can you believe that 93% of all sinus infections are due to mold/fungi? but everybody's complaining about sinus infections, or they're taking some kind of medication.
Yes.
And the root of the problem may be in their own home.
Well, of course, the medicos are very seriously concerned about the astronomical, exponential growth of childhood asthma, which has taken place over the past 25 years.
Yeah.
And certainly because we live in these enclosed, hermetically sealed boxes, nobody opens the windows anymore because we have air conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely. Old houses breathe better but let more moisture in. New houses are tighter and don't let the air flow out.
Back to remediation. What do we do to remediate, and how what percentage of the homes you remediate really need substantial work in terms of structural work?
Well, a lot of the times that depends on the people I'm dealing with, because there's a risk assessment that we go through during the inspection process. Again, getting back to that inspection. But that risk assessment consists of type of mold, how much mold, and what your individual susceptibility to it is. So if you are very sensitive, I'm going to have to do more in my plan. See, again, you get back to mold is a microscopic problem. Okay, it is a problem that is not visible until it amplifies, and you have millions and millions of spores. Each square inch of mold contains approximately 40 million spores. So it is amplified on top of each other so many times over, that's why you can see it now. So if you go and use bleach on that surface and have the surface look clean, does that mean it is clean microbially? Does that mean that the spores are actually gone? Those little tiny microscopic spores. Or are they still there? Or is the root still there? EPA guidebook again, page 15 says, the use of biocides in cleanup, like chlorine bleach for example, is not recommended during routine remediation practices. It says so in your own EPA guidebook.
So when I'm looking at this program and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'll go in there and spray my kitchen with Lysol, that's going to be the answer.
Right. And for some places, you know what, it is. If you're dealing with small little pockets, or you're maintaining your structure and staying on top of a problem, that's enough. We don't want to get too crazy about the issue, but if that was an indicator of a larger problem somewhere else in your structure, what we call mold reservoirs, or the mold monster, hiding somewhere, that could be you have a lot of spore built up in the air, and whenever that surface becomes conducive, boom, it pops up and grows.
Okay. I must have the answer to this question, Richard. It's the question about what percentage. I understand the remediation process is multifaceted. You have to, whatever the disease is, we have to have the cure for it.
Correct.
But is the cure very often radical in the sense that we're tearing down walls and pulling up floors and so on and so on? I think that's what folks are afraid of.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, but let me make this statement. If it has to be done, it has to be done. You're looking to solve the problem. Okay? Does that happen the majority of the time? No. There are specialty products, which we have exclusive rights to, that allow us to get into the root of the mold and dig it out and then leave a residual on the surface.
And before we leave the air today, we must tell the audience that there's only one company in this area that has this particular product. It is Expedient. You can't get it anyplace else. You can't buy it in the Price Chopper. Right. You can't buy it anywhere. You can only get it from Expedient, and it is theirs exclusively. And it is a product that does exactly what, Richard?
Well, it was designed by a chemist about 19 years ago. And what it physically does is, mold roots, as we were talking about, and has a tendency to grow better on porous surfaces because that porous surface holds moisture better.
Yeah.
Well, this material will physically go in and lift it. It'll dig it out from the root, and will leave a residual on the surface, so it helps retard regrowth. So if we work on those conditions conducive, the material is going to hold up its end of the bargain by leaving a residual there.
Are there comparable products in the marketplace?
No, there's a lot of imitators. There's a lot of, just like with any business, you know, there's people who say they're going to do the job, but they never really get it done. You need, during the process, to have some kind of post-testing or post-evaluation to be done. And we'll do that for you once we, complete a job. Our aim is to reach a successful conclusion at your structure.
If you think that your family may be at risk, then the thing to do is to have Richard come out, take the time to have the inspection, because it's not only your house that's at risk or your building that's at risk, it's you. And on that somewhat unpleasant note, I thank you, Richard, for being with us today, and thank you for being with us, and we'll see you again the next time.